So this is our final project. We are calling our lesson Exploring World Revolutions, and it is by Leandra, which is me, Dylan, and Jasmine. So our subject and standards, we chose grades 9 through 12. Our subject is U.S. history because it was easy to combine all of our concentration areas together through that subject. The U.S. history standard that we chose was MWH2CE, and it says to summarize how major world revolutions created new global affairs and interactions. The ISTE standard that we chose was 1.3D, and it says students build knowledge by actively exploring real-world issues and problems, developing ideas and theories, and pursuing answers and solutions. Our PE standard that we are including is High School 2.2. So use movement, concepts, and principles, for example, force, motion, and rotation, to analyze and improve the performance of self and or others. And the English standard we're using is MC 1.5, and it says to synthesize areas of agreement and disagreement, including the justification for personal perspective and revise conclusions based on new evidence. Our objective of this entire lesson is that students will see how revolutions around the world had an impact on interactions between other countries and what affairs stemmed from them. So we created a worksheet to go along with this lesson. This will be filled out as students are presenting about their different revolutions. There are 4 revolutions included. We have the American Revolution, the French Revolution, the Haitian Revolution, and the Latin American Revolution. These are the 4 biggest ones that come from the curriculum in this U.S. history. So as these presentations are going on, students will be able to put in the social and political results of each revolution, important people from each revolution, and then they will be able to compare and contrast the similarities and differences between each revolution and their impacts.
E-learning. During our Zoom meeting, students will be placed into breakout rooms that will be their specific country. Once they're assigned, a student leader would share their screen and click on the Google Earth link where they can see their country now. Students will then do research with their groups to see how the revolution affected their land, resources, and people along with other countries. With this information, they will create a PowerPoint that will teach the other students about the revolution and its effect on other countries. In this presentation, students must also include recording of them, each of them performing a dance and playing a sport that represents the country and the time period that the revolution took place. During the presentation, the groups who are listening will then fill in their worksheet on what's happening, who was important, and what was similar and different compared to their represented country. After the presentation, students will complete an exit ticket by writing a 2-paragraph analyze of what they have learned. Accommodations. If the technology is not working properly, the student will have to use the worksheet that the teacher will print out for them. If there is a specific student who wasn't able to access the tech, then they would be able to get a printed copy as well. If none of the tech works for the virtual field trip, we will modify the toolkit and use our prior knowledge to make educated guesses on what life could have been during that time.
So first, I kind of want to start this off with an apology for double recording because for some reason, my Screencastify did not want to work for some reason with the audio. So I do apologize, and we are going to kind of give a little bit of a quote-unquote narration, I guess, of what I briefly discussed. So this is the prior knowledge that the students should already have some kind of idea of what happened before we get into the lesson. The first being the students will have already learned about the events that led up to the Second World War, as well as the rise of the Third Reich in Germany at the time. The logo that you see down on the left-hand side of this screen is the logo of the Third Reich in Germany at the time. And then the second thing that the students would have already known is the students should, obviously, as I said, they should know about the depression that faced the country, the rest of the world at the time before this. And I have a picture of a woman with her two kids looking onward, which can symbolize the Great Depression having such a major impact that it forced many men and women sometimes out of jobs and put them into a situation with limited food and resources, thus making it hard for them to just thrive in their situation, as well as basically putting them in a state of depression. I guess that's the best word for it. Now, shortly, as you can see, we decided to use a VR headset, aka Google Cardboard. Now, as you can see, I'm putting my phone inside of the screen of the Google Cardboard, aka VR headset. There's a little line there that you line up your phone with, and then you're going to briefly close it up, and then put it on your head. And now I was currently looking at some of the major people at the time of the Latin American Revolution, which is one of the revolutions that we briefly talk about in our worksheet, as well as priorly mentioned. And basically, it allows you to kind of look around and get a better look, basically, at what had happened during the time of these revolutions. I thank you for your time, and thank you.